What's been a little surprising, and I think why there's so much conversation, at least from what I'm seeing, about Kelsey Plum is that during the season when the rest of the core aces, the other, they're the core four, Asia, Chelsea, Jackie Young, and Kelsey Plum. So when her other three, counterparts, they signed extensions, she did not.
Remember when the Las Vegas Aces ruled the WNBA like an untouchable empire? Well, those glory days are looking like ancient history now. The once mighty dynasty is unraveling at the seams, and it's starting with a bombshell. Kelsey Plum, the sharpshooter who's been the heart of their offense, is ready to walk out the door.
Based on multiple conversations that I've had, it does seem like the most likely scenario is that Kelsey Plum would move on from the Aces.
But it gets worse. A'ja Wilson, yes, the self-proclaimed face of the Aces and their vocal leader, is left eating humble pie as tensions boil over. Coach Becky Hammon is losing her grip. The locker room is a pressure cooker, and the league is watching it all crumble with popcorn in hand. Trust me, this is drama you can't afford to miss. Are you ready? Let's go.
You mentioned that she did not sign an extension, and former general manager Natalie Williams told me before she and the Aces parted ways that, Kelsey was offered an extension and declined.
Let's be clear. Losing a game stings, but losing your star teammate? That's a gut punch. And it's not just about Kelsey Plum's numbers, though. Those are undeniable. Last year, she put up 17.8 points and 4.2 assists per game, hitting 42% from the field and nearly 37% from beyond the arc. On paper, she's the kind of player any coach would want. But in reality, the situation in Vegas is far from picture perfect.
When it comes to somebody like Kelsey Plum, she's coming off a difficult personal year, and she's emphasized that she wants to take time for herself, which is why she said that she pulled out of Unrivaled. So we're not necessarily in the position to, with respect to what she said, to ask her directly, and that would be the best indicator here. But of course, you mentioned my reporting, I can pull and cite a few quotes that kind of imply that, the same way that Satu said that she's working with the Dallas organization, that's been the implication, that the Aces are working to find a situation where, quote unquote, everybody's happy, which is exactly what Becky Hammon said to me about a month ago in regards to Kelsey Plum's situation.
Here's the tea. Plum and coach Becky Hammon have been butting heads for a while now. Remember that heated sideline argument during the playoffs? Oh, that wasn't just about a bad possession. It was the tip of an iceberg. Coach Hammon didn't mince words, tearing into Plum for her performance and, frankly, calling out the entire team's lack of effort. And Plum? Let's just say her body language screamed, "I'm over this."
Becky also, I think she made the statement, something along the lines like, it's just not, we're not going to look the same that we've looked in the past, right? Which makes total sense, right? Again, as I just said, you kind of in your mind have this idea that teams are always going to look the way they look, and the reality is that's just not possible.
And then there was that game against the New York Liberty. The Aces needed Plum to deliver, but she dropped a disappointing 6 points, shooting an abysmal 2 for 9 from the field. It wasn't just a bad game. It felt personal. Was it a lack of effort? A statement against the system? Or, as some are whispering, the early signs of a betrayal brewing behind the scenes? Either way, the fallout is clear. Plum's departure feels imminent, and A'ja Wilson is left holding the bag. The cracks in this so-called dynasty are starting to look like fault lines.
My basketball mind, though, is still having a hard time wrapping my head around Kelsey leaving and going to an org like the Valkyries.
Now let's get to the part everyone's whispering about, where Plum might be headed. The Golden State Valkyries are circling like sharks, and they've got $1.2 million in cap space just burning a hole in their pocket. They're not just searching for another player. They want a star, someone to plaster on billboards and build a franchise around. And let's face it, Kelsey Plum is tailor-made for that role.
What I do think is interesting is that there is a team that will be coming to the league this year, the Golden State Valkyries, and a part of me just kind of feels like that might be a fresh start for Kelsey Plum if she does decide that she wants to move on from the Aces. To me, it gives them an opportunity to have a great perimeter scorer, which we know that Kelsey Plum is, but it also will add a little bit of familiarity for her because the new head coach was the former assistant coach in Las Vegas, and I think that that could also be something that plays well where you're getting a new environment and you're getting a new experience, but you're also still working with someone who knows you and knows you well, so you get a bit of the best of both worlds.
But hold on, it gets even messier. Guess who's running the Valkyries bench? Natalie Nakase, former assistant coach for the Aces. That's right, Nakase and Plum go way back. And by all accounts, this isn't just professional history. It's the kind of relationship that could sway even the toughest decision. Imagine Plum walking into Golden State's locker room like it's a second home. Talk about awkward for the Aces.
She and Natalie were really close. Like, I remember the first conversation I had with Natalie Nakaze, she was telling me that she spent the whole offseason doing Pilates with Kelsey Plum because Kelsey had roped her into it. And they were waking up at like 6 a.m. together to go to these Pilates sessions. And I remember telling Natalie, like, that is something I would never do. I could never, like, wake up early. And she's like, well, you should. Like, you should consider it. Kelsey has, like, changed my life by us doing that. And that's, like, something, a small thing. It doesn't really go into any reporting or anything, but their relationship seems to be really strong. And so, you know, I wouldn't be surprised.
And before you ask, won't the Aces fight tooth and nail to keep her? Well, here's where the drama unfolds. Plum didn't sign an extension with Vegas, and that silence is deafening. The word on the street is there's a potential sign and trade deal brewing, and teams like the Valkyries and the Seattle Storm are already licking their chops. It's like the WNBA's version of a bidding war. And Plum's the prized trophy everyone wants to showcase.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would not rule that out. Something that really stands out to me is that, you know, Kelsey is a Southern California native, and San Francisco is, you know, it's within the state. California is a large state, but it's still within the state. And I think that stands out. To me, that's like the most intriguing destination for Kelsey. I mean, I totally understand the fit. You mentioned like perimeter scoring for the Valkyries, and they'll absolutely need that. But I think also she brings like this, you know, veteran championship mentality that Natalie Nakaze has emphasized that she wants to cultivate in the Golden State. And so to me, that would just be knock out of the park. And they have the room to do it. You know, they're just building their roster. Cap space is not going to be a problem. So that stands out to me, definitely.
Now, back in Vegas, you'd think A'ja Wilson, the so-called queen of the Aces, would have things under control. After all, she's an MVP, right? But let's not kid ourselves. A'ja's kingdom is falling apart, and it's happening right under her nose. And trust me, she's not handling it well.
That was actually the context of the quote that Becky Hammon had given me, where she said, like, you know, Kelsey is very core to this organization. She's very important. And so, you know, we're giving her space to figure out what she needs for herself, but we also want to make sure that we as an organization are in a good position.
For someone who's always harping on about team first and loyalty, the reality is looking a little different. Her frustrations are boiling over, and it's not just about losing Plum. Remember that infamous playoff moment when she and Plum clashed? Tensions were already sky high, and A'ja decides it's a great time to publicly question her teammates' commitment. Who does that during a crucial series? It was a cringe-worthy leadership fail, and let's just say, Plum didn't forget.
I just have a very hard time imagining the Las Vegas Aces without that core four. They were all drafted there, right? I mean, they were all drafted there. And so, I mean, look, as a Warriors fan, losing Klay Thompson, I can sort of relate to this, but that would be quite a blow for a team like Vegas. They came up together, they won 2 championships together.
And if you thought it stopped there, think again. A'ja's gone full locker room lecture mode, calling out the whole squad. We need to be better. We can't just rely on 1 or 2 players to carry us. Sure, on paper, that sounds like good advice, but when you're the one delivering it, while your own leadership is under scrutiny? Yikes. That's the pot calling the kettle black, isn't it?
Paige reminds me a lot of you. Like, you say it's not really about me. And she knows how her privilege has gotten her to that point. And also, like, she's good at basketball, obviously. But, like, she understands her privilege. It's like what pushes her over the top, in a sense. It reminds me a lot of you. And I mean, that's a compliment.
Here's the reality. A'ja Wilson is a force of nature. Her passion, unmatched. Her talent, unstoppable. But her approach? That's where it all falls apart. Some teammates rally behind her fiery energy, but others, not so much. It's like walking on eggshells in that locker room, and guess who's stomping around in combat boots?
And I understand that there could be personal reasons, but you're coming from a top-notch organization in Vegas, and Joe Lacob, as an owner for the Valkyries, he's setting them up nicely to begin. They're gonna have the facilities, they're gonna have all the things. But even if you just bring Kelsey Plum to the team that they have right now, as constructed, I don't think that would be enough.
You know what they say about pressure creating diamonds? Well, in the case of the Las Vegas Aces, it's cracking their entire foundation. A'ja Wilson may be the queen of this crumbling empire, but even she's struggling to keep her crown straight. Her frustration isn't just about losing games or teammates. It's about losing control. And for someone who's been the face of the franchise, that's a bitter pill to swallow.
I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna try to be the best. I get y'all saying best player in the world. That's great. It looks great. But I want to be the best person. I want to be the best teammate, because that's how I get the best out of my team.
Here's the kicker. Asia's meltdown is bigger than just her. It's a symptom of the Aces' real problem. They've been sipping their own champagne for so long, they forgot how quickly a dynasty can turn to dust. This isn't just a rough patch. It's the fall of an empire. And if you thought Asia's public outbursts were messy, wait until you hear what Coach Becky Hammon has to say. Spoiler alert, she's not sugarcoating anything.
And something else interesting to me is that the Aces seem like they have a lot of decisions to make, and they haven't replaced their GM. And I was reading, your reporting, and I saw all this we're making decisions by committee, which I found curious. How long is that gonna go on for?
You know that sinking feeling when you see a disaster brewing, but it's too late to stop it? That's the Aces locker room in 4K. And Hammon, once the mastermind of this team's success, is now watching her championship-winning squad unravel faster than a bad reality TV show.
So that when I spoke to Becky last month, it was unclear. I requested to interview Natalie Williams recently, and the Aces declined. So obviously this is something that they don't want to talk about right now. But to me, it seems quite unlikely that they're going to even make a hire. And I know that it feels like they're trying to leave that up in the air. That's what Becky Hammon tried to, I think, imply. And when I've spoken to Nikki Fargas, team president.
Hammon's not just frustrated, she's downright heartbroken. Think of it like this. She's the parent who gave her kids everything, only to watch them throw it all away for Instagram clout and brand deals. And she's not wrong. The Aces' 2024 season didn't just end with a loss. It ended with a wake-up call that this team is no longer what it once was.
The whole league has been pissed off for the last 8 months, and my players are in commercials and this and that and being freaking celebrities, and you get distracted.
But Hammon? She's not sitting quietly in her office. She's calling it out for what it is. After their playoff collapse, she dropped a bombshell. It's not going to be the same group next year. It just won't. Translation? She's had enough. The Aces are getting an overhaul, whether the players like it or not.
We have to get better. We have to really take a sharp look at ourselves, look ourselves in the mirror, see our shortcomings, and then, you got to make the moves necessary, whatever that means, to put the best product that we possibly can. It's not going to be the same group probably next year. It just won't. And I'm sad about that, because I really like that group. They're a pain in my ass, but I was a pain in their ass too.
It's a harsh dose of reality, but maybe it's what they need. Hammon isn't just talking about swapping jerseys. She's talking about reviving the soul of a team that once played for the love of the game, not for the cameras. And if her words are any indication, the Aces are heading into 2025 with a whole new game plan, or they'll face even bigger consequences.
There is so much change facing this team. We talked about Natalie Nakaze leading the Golden State Valkyries, but then we also have Tyler Marsh gone to, take the helm at the Chicago Sky. No general manager. I'm told that the assistant coaching staff might not even be complete. We might hear of another hire soon, which is, I'm trying to kind of navigate in my mind how that would look, because right now they already have 3 assistants. So a lot is changing, and they also only have 6 players under contract for this upcoming season.
While the Aces are spinning in chaos, let's take a moment to spotlight the Indiana Fever, because they're doing something that's becoming a rarity in the WNBA these days, thriving without drama. While Las Vegas is stuck in a cycle of leaks, tantrums, and implosions, the Fever are methodically and quietly building something that could reshape the league entirely. No fireworks, no infighting, just a good old-fashioned game plan that's starting to pay off in spades.
And when Becky said she expected this team to look different, and you referenced that earlier, Tarika, that's what I was expecting. I was expecting maybe not to see some of those players who, Callie just named. Maybe we don't see Alicia Clark back again. I don't know. It seems like Tiffany wants to return to the Aces, so we'll see about that. But there's some questions for them at the center spot, right? So it's things like that I thought it could look different. I did not expect the core 4 to change. I guess we'll see.
Think back to where this team was a few years ago. A struggling franchise, ignored by most, and on a seemingly endless rebuilding journey. But now, they've got a blueprint that other teams should be taking notes from. And at the center of it all is their franchise player, Caitlin Clark. From day one, the Fever made it clear They weren't just drafting Clark to play basketball. They were drafting her to lead the charge toward a new era.
There's something about the way she plays the game, her passing, her shooting, that people really identify with. I really feel like we're poised and we're set up for a great, successful next era of Fever basketball.
But it's not just about having a superstar. That's where many teams go wrong. They focus on one player and hope for the best. The Fever? They're building a culture. It's about team chemistry, humility, and work ethic. They're crafting an environment where every player feels like they belong, and it's paying dividends. This isn't just a basketball team anymore. It's a movement. You want proof? Look at their leadership. The return of Kelly Krauskopf as team president has been a masterstroke. This is the same woman who built the Fever's championship team in 2012. She knows how to create a winning formula, and she's brought in a team of like-minded individuals to help make it happen. General Manager Amber Cox, with her experience from the Connecticut Sun and Phoenix Mercury, has been a vital part of this turnaround. And then there's Stephanie White, back as head coach, ready to reclaim her place at the top after taking the Fever to the finals in 2015.
Building quality depth is going to be important. You know, when you have a core three like we have, surrounding them with players who are going to, fill the roles, certainly, first and foremost, who are going to embrace the roles, secondly, and who give us the best opportunities for success by complementing what they do really, really well.
What's truly remarkable is the way the Fever are nurturing Caitlin Clark while simultaneously building a team around her. Unlike the Aces, where egos seem to dominate the narrative, Indiana has ensured that Clark's star power enhances the team rather than overshadows it. She's the face of the franchise, but she's not the entire story. That balance is what makes the Fever so dangerous going into the 2025 season.
The future is so bright, and our ultimate goal is to hang another banner in the field house. And our ultimate goal is to come back in here after we win that championship and celebrate again like we did in 2012.
Players like Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Lexi Hull have fully embraced this new culture. They're not just playing for themselves, they're playing for each other, and it shows. The Fever are creating a team-first mentality that's becoming a rarity in the league. It's almost refreshing in a league that's been overshadowed by individualism and off-court drama.
Are you in a position where you can add some pieces?
Yes, we are. We're definitely in a position, and I would think that if you are a smart basketball player and you watch the way she plays, you would want to play with her.
While the Aces were busy fueling social media debates and trying to salvage their crumbling empire, the Fever were laser-focused on the future. And guess what? Their vision is becoming reality. There's a buzz around Indiana, a palpable excitement that's been missing for years. Fans are showing up. The media is paying attention. And the rest of the league? They're starting to worry. Now, let's not pretend like the Fever are already guaranteed a championship. This is still a process, and they have plenty of challenges ahead. But the difference is clear. Indiana is building something sustainable, something that could last. While Las Vegas is stumbling under the weight of its own ego, the Fever are rising with grit and determination. It's the classic tortoise versus hare story. And in this version, the tortoise is armed with a superstar in Caitlin Clark.
This is a place where players can come and get better and be surrounded by an organization that supports you. They're going to have everything they need to be successful.
The Fever's approach is a reminder that sometimes it's not about the flashy moves or the headline-grabbing signings. It's about getting the fundamentals right. And while Asia Wilson and the Aces are busy trying to patch up their image, the Fever are out there winning hearts and games. You can't help but feel that the basketball gods might be smiling down on Indiana this time. So, as the 2025 season looms, the question isn't whether the Fever will be competitive, it's how far they'll go. Will they capitalize on the chaos in Vegas and stake their claim as the WNBA's next great dynasty? Or will they take a bit longer to reach their peak? Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.